It's over for the Leafs this season. And I think that where we are going to be going a lot this evening is that it is also over for this iteration of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Shanna plan has had more than 9 seasons, 9 seasons of these guys, but over a decade now. And it has resulted in painful loss after painful loss. But I would argue actually none more embarrassing than tonight. A Toronto Maple Leafs team that went all in on the deadline, that had their core in their prime ages, and had 2 opportunities in front of their home crowd to show what they were made of. And I think they did. I think they showed exactly what they were made of tonight. And that's where I'll lead it over to you, Sammy.
I'm just so tired of this, man.
Mm-hmm.
I had a long time to think about this because it just, as soon as the third one goes in the net, they score the one that, gives you momentary hope before they immediately cough up another softie. But it just, I had so much, you start reflecting about this whole era, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how fast it seemed. And I think of, I'm seeing clips of Matthews' first playoff goal. And I think about how hopeful I was and the things that I would say, this is finally the core that's going to beyond my wildest dreams to actually give me what I've wanted outside of, health, family, and friends more than anything in the world is Lord Stanley's mug. That's what I've wanted the most. And I thought that this was going to be it. And we've had these realizations after all these shows that we've done over the years and these shows that I'm so sick and tired of doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a harsh, sad realization that these guys will never, ever get it done. It's never going to happen. What happened tonight is just more of the same. And I never let myself go there. I never let myself believe. I just knew this was coming and it did. And that's just the heartbreaking part, boys. Just heartbreaking.
And, Sam, I totally appreciate that. Knew it was coming thing, but I really try as someone who's less invested than you on an emotional level to do hockey analysis of what I expected out of this game. And I know you're going to hate this word, but I'm shocked. I'm shocked. They've had so many chances to prove people like me wrong, who after game 5 wrote the absence of greatness for Sportsnet, because they've just had a million times where you go, okay, they know now. They know what to expect from Florida. They know what a game 7 feels like. Because even lesser teams can slow down great teams if they play well and bring a great game. And so I just kept waiting. I've been waiting, and I understand. And it's just, you're right when you say this group can't do it. They cannot.
No,
they are not capable of doing it. So analytically, tactically, I am shocked that they laid another egg like game 5.
Yeah, Borny, I'm with you, man, because here's that's just it. I said this on my show the other day that what is the number one thing teams fight for narrative wise as they go into the postseason? It's underdog.
Be an underdog?
Yeah. Who's the underdog? The Philadelphia Eagles, remember when they won that Super Bowl and they were all wearing the underdog mask, and the Patriots have called themselves underdogs. And it's you guys, no one's underdogs here. You guys are desperately fighting and clawing for this narrative. And who has more opportunities, or who has been given more opportunities to silence critics than this Leafs core, right? Who gets 9 opportunities postseason after postseason? And God, even if you put it at 7, right? Because let's take out the first 2 when it was all plucky, fun times where they didn't have the weight of the world on their shoulder. To have over half a decade of, hey, nobody believes in you. Everybody thinks you're a big group of losers. No one thinks you have any guts. Just to show up and play such a gutless game in front of your home fans twice in a row.
Incredible.
It's shocking. And that's why I know tonight we're supposed to be talking about the game, and I think it's just going to end up being mixed in with the larger picture in terms of things to illustrate, because what is there really to say about this game, right? They got caved in the first 10 minutes.
I stopped taking notes after 30. So
yeah, they came back and played a solid 10 minutes in the first, and then they showed up for the second period and completely gave up. Literally the worst period of the season, according to Sportsnet stats, by the way, by any team in terms of shot attempts against. So
regular season, playoff, doesn't matter.
whatever you want to do it, literally the worst period of the calendar year is what they played against the Florida Panthers. So you can say the Panthers are good and that's a defending Stanley Cup champion. But for me, the sweetest relief in all of this, like the only thing that is, I think, tethering me to my sanity as someone whose career is linked to this team, whose friendships have been tied to this team, who goes back to watching this since like literally my first memories as a kid, is that there's closure here. You don't get to blame anything. There's no excuse for this team. Everybody got to see it bare bones. Hey, this is it. Naked and raw. You guys are losers. Goodbye.
It was an analytics dagger, this series. You can, whatever you like numbers wise or whatever you want to do. This is just like, how do you not conclude that there's a lack of heart or passion or a lack of whatever the word may be?
Like, they've just never, when the fans want it the worst is when they are at their absolute worst. And that is what completely detaches you from a team and from players and from a franchise. Like, to do those two games back to back in Game 5 and Game 7, and I saw a stat, like, they're so bad on home ice in these big games over this whole era. From Mike Cormack on Twitter, I think they're 3-13, outscored 55-29, and have scored 1 goal in 8 of those 16 games. 1 goal or less.
Wow.
In 8 of those 16 games since 2018. Like,
and Sam, doesn't the path that was after this game make it even worse? Because, like, if you knew a win tonight, what opened up ahead of you?
That's why, what to me is like the main reason that, when I tried, I had my Leafs jersey on for 48 hours. I was talking to people at the Jays game, all the people so excited, go Leafs, go Leafs, go, dapping people up, so excited. In the back of my mind, I really had no hope about this game. But like, I don't know why they just can't at least make it look competitive tonight.
No dogs. I
watched that Florida Panthers team, and it's just, they wanted it so much more. And that's such a cliche sports thing, but it's just, there's never been a more true thing. You watch that game, and it's just like Game 5, they wanted it more. Game 7, the Leafs wanted it way more in Game 6, and they played so well defensively, and they played as a team, and they were the underdog mentality. And as soon as that, like, back against the wall mentality goes away, where you don't have that, like, nobody believes in us.
But they did have nobody believes in us here.
Pardon?
They did have nobody believes in them here.
No, people were excited, man.
Of course people were excited.
In Game 7, buddy, people were out going into Game 6. And this is what we joked about, that they would win Game 6. Like, every single person laid out this exact scenario. This team is so damn predictable that every single person was like, yep, they're going to win Game 6, and then they're going to break all our little hearts in Game 7. Ha, ha, ha. And then they're like, yeah, stab. Like, take it. Like, you're going to enjoy it. Like, just, Sam, of course.
The only
predictable thing ever.
Sam, the only thing I have different than you is that I don't have it as the other team wants it more. I have it as the Leafs are afraid. Like, the pressure, the moment, it's fear to me, where I see them, they don't go forward. The whole game, I'm just going skate into traffic and, get hit, take a play, chip it by him. You have to go north. And it's the, like, lateral east flip, like it's a fear thing to me.
The first 10 minutes of the game was maybe the most depressing start to a hockey game. I was just like, oh my God, they're going to lose 8-0 tonight. Like, and then they kind of figured it out, and I was like, oh, they're kind of back here a little bit. Maybe they survive. Like, you picture the post-game story. Oh, they survived that shaky start with their old nerves, and they find a way to scratch one. And then the second period starts. That poor ref gets absolutely rocked in the eye with a stick. Like, oh my God, that was so good. And then immediately they all go to sleep and just get caved in. Like, it just, there wasn't.
Watch Morgan. Like, look how hesitant he is.
And I guess the hesitance goes back to what you have to say, Bourne, is just the fear factor, and like not wanting to be the one to get aggressive and make the big mistake that you're the big guy.
Look at that little one-handed thing.
I know. like Riley and Carlo tonight, boys.
Oh, Riley's the worst player tonight by far.
Carlo and him.
Oh,
were
look at
both-
him.
Yeah.
And we talked about this all, like, there were some moments throughout the playoffs where Riley was really good, right? And he had some
Yes.
big moments for them and he improved. But when you come to playoff time and the games get tight, like a lot of times your biggest weaknesses end up shooting you, and like they be the ones that kill you. And Riley was a weak point for them all year, and it just rears its ugly head at the worst possible time.
Yeah,
What
wait.
were they? Were they dash 3 tonight?
Yeah, Riley was at least on the ice for 3 even strength goals. Might have been 4, but I know for conclusively it was 3. Because again, I like the one that's off the face-off, right, to make it 5-1. That's like, I know it was the top line that was up there. I couldn't tell you the pairing, but at that point,
So yeah, Riley was dash 3 tonight.
yeah, dash 3. So
A lot of people were dash tonight.
before we
Oh,
move
guys.
to like specific whipping guys from this game and some of the stuff we're going to take from it, I just want to say I actually think that you guys it's a 2 things can be true situation here, like the want it more versus the being afraid.
Yeah,
Like to me, all I could think of is it's the Denny Green, the famous they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. It's like they are who we thought they were. That's the worst part about this. When you're talking about all those people that predicted exactly this outcome and them being predictable, that is the worst. Like one of the worst things about this is that in spite of how predictable the outcome was, I had hundreds of people reaching out to me over this week, like DM me on Instagram, doing my best thing to reply. So many people being like, I'm trying to believe, I'm trying to get myself to hope there. It's like, they've been beaten down a million times. Everybody saw this coming. And like, it is what ended up happening. All of the weird torture fan fiction ends up coming true, but to the will and to the, what was it? The fear. Again, I saw both things tonight. I saw a Panthers team that is very talented and deserves a ton of credit because what are they? A team built on dogs. And when you say want it more, like it makes you go, well, how could they want it less, but then be too afraid, right? Like, how could those 2 things not be in contradiction of one another? But it's like, I actually think that it's harmonious with these guys. Like I see them in that first period losing all those puck battles. How many times was Florida first the puck? Bourne, to like your point about go forward and skate. It's that tentativeness that they play with. And I just, again, it sucks because it comes back to the feeling of no dogs. And my biggest point of conclusion that I think I'm going to take from all of this is, for a while, we always thought, hey, like no one wants to come and play in Toronto because of the pressure and blah, 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 blah. That actually has to be at the very top of the pile with the types of personalities you get. You look at the New York Knicks and who's their leader? Jalen Brunson, like a 5'10" guy. He's actually like listed at 6'1", but he's the tiniest dude. But what does he have? The biggest heart. And what did he get voted? Clutch player of the year. You think that the Leafs have any clutch player of the year that's going to help them break through in the postseason? I do not. So yeah, I think it's both. Anyways, I just needed to get that off. But Morgan Riley time?
I don't know. I mean, are we done just like eulogizing this? Like, yeah, Morgan Riley was bad, but I
think he should be gone.
Really?
Like this gets into cuts. For me, it starts with this. Shanahan gone. I'd fire Shanahan tonight. Like I would just put out the presser. I'd tell him to go clean out his office, and anything that's not out of there in the next 8 hours is going in the trash can. Thanks for your service. You built this culture. You are as complicit as anyone in this.
Yeah.
I don't see a scenario that makes any sense with Marner. And yeah, I think that Riley is the next cut. And then from there, it's like those are the question marks for me, but those are the 3 automatics.
Yeah. I thought that shot they showed of Shanny after, was it Luce Theranen that scored the 4th one? The tip at the side of the net, Luce Theranen?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was Luce Theranen.
Scores the 4th was Luce Theranen. OEL goes to cross check him. He goes to the net, and it's a bit of a soft.
So they flash right to Shanny. After that, great production by the Sportsnet truck, I might add, our good friends at Sportsnet. And it's just the look on his face was,
that'll do it.
That'll
do it. I'd say that
right there. That's the shot. The look up at the Jumbotron, the rub, looked a lot like most of Leafs Nation tonight. In fact, when that goal went into the net, I can't imagine a guy that was so synonymous for being one of the toughest, most heart guy players of my childhood and life. Like this guy was one of the toughest guys in the ice, scored when he scored over 600 goals.
Sammy,
Like,
you remember when like they got Roberts? Like the whole thing was that they were just such buds, and that it was going to be like the two of them playing together, and they were going to be the dogs that brought the cup. Like he was the ultimate dog.
No, but like, and it just for him to have built what this has become has to be one of the great heartbreaks of his life. Like for it to have turned from what his career was on the ice to what this like lack of accountability, no dog, no heart, like piss down your legs and big moment team. Like I can't think of a more opposite thing to what he represented as a player. Like it's got to
he did it.
kill. I know we're all looking for the guy who did this, but like it's very, very, it's such a juxtaposition to the guy that he was in the NHL. It's crazy. It must kill him inside that he's built.
Well, what's so crazy though is like he like remade himself as this calm, cool, collected business executive, professional, smart guy, ahead of the curve, right? Did the Dubas thing.
Yeah.
You know, and wanted to look like, you know, I'm not just this brutish hockey player. I'm a thoughtful guy. And it's such a betrayal of who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And then for it to go out, there has to be that dog is still in his suit on the inside watching that game going, it has to just eat him alive the way. I don't know that it's going to end for him because it's not a panel of people's decisions. You know, it's going to be like
I can
this one guy.
guarantee it.
No way he's back, Barney.
Yeah, he's gone.
No way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think he probably is too. I just know that neither of you.
I've
have
also heard
access
from
to
some
the one
people though,
person
that
who will
like
make
his
the
job
decision,
was on the
so.
line with this. Like,
What's that?
I've heard some whispers of like, yeah, it was this or goodbye bye.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's staying. I'm saying neither you know, but I'm saying it's quite likely.
I don't know anything. But I'm just gonna guess.
I'll tell you
look in his
this.
face.
Could you imagine him trotting out to do the media
No.
cards?
No.
Well, he's got to face it.
No, of course he could face it. Sometimes when they know a guy's getting fired, they don't make him face it.
No, he's got to face it. He's got to face it. He talks twice a year. He talks at the opener, and he's got to
But if
talk
you're
at the
firing
closer.
him, like they didn't make Keefe go up.
Yeah, they did.
Keith
talked last year.
It'd be weird to have him do it, then let
Keith
him go.
talked last
wouldn't
year,
it? I don't
boys.
know.
I don't remember Keefe speaking last season.
Keith 100% talked last year, boys. 100%.
Okay. Either way, they usually do it where it's like locker room clean out, and then the execs get together and have a little chat, right, with the fan base.
Yeah.
And I have at this point, Shanahan has had now years of not actually giving good answers to questions because I actually remember a time where it was after the Columbus series where Dubas was defensive and Shanahan was actually the one taking responsibility for the team.
Yeah.
And he was pissed off. And he seemed like the guy that was agitated with the direction in which they were going. And granted, that was the worst regular season they had too, right? That was the Ayers year, and then it ends up being COVID. It was strange. But Dubas was defensive at that media conference. He was going off about how you guys don't have all the numbers on Cody Ceci. Remember, that was his like highlight at the
Might have been
media
right. Might have been right.
Yeah,
Ceci's
maybe
had
he was.
a pretty good career after that. But anyways.
But either way, Shanahan went from being someone that at least seemed to be pushing for that. He's the one that came up with the killer instinct line.
Yeah.
And then that faded over time where it just seemed like he became more protective of the stars, more protective of the talent, more of a coddler, meeker in the media conferences, more defensive in the media conferences. And that's why I think that even when it comes to these guys wanting to see through jobs, like this kind of gets to the Marner stuff too. At what point are you just not like, it's not working here.
100%.
Shanny, just like, do you have a passion, bro? Do you like deep sea fishing? Like, do you like golfing? Like, just
Go back to the Department of Player Safety and try to root out all the people against the Leafs. Like,
do anything else, man. Like, this is just such a high profile thing, and it's just gone so poorly. The man needs some time away from this. Like, I can't imagine the Leafs and him parting ways in the next couple days, and then him just being like, "Yep, I'm gonna take over with this other team." Like, this has been such a long, hard, crappy run for him that there's just no way he's like, pardon?
How could you want him if you're another team?
Well, I mean, people convince themselves of a lot of things, buddy.
Yeah, like sure, he'll get a job, but
for sure
to be the president?
No, I don't think so right away. No, I don't think so.
Borny? You hire him?
Yeah, I think he'll get one immediately.
Yeah.
Presidency?
I think he's as respected a man in hockey. I think the Leafs have made playoffs 9 consecutive years. He's run a tight ship here.
Maybe you're right. I don't know. I just have a hard time thinking that he's immediately want to jump into something right away after how this has gone.
Maybe
But
he won't
anyways,
want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. These guys usually all just want to keep doing it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Like how many guys had a bad flame out from a job and then they weren't like, hey, there's a job here, and they went, no, I'm gonna take my time. Like now,
you're right.
Jump right back in. He'll probably Board's right. He'll probably just end up the president of somewhere else, just like Anaheim Ducks' new president, Brandon Shanahan. He made the playoffs night, and that's the thing that you'll be able to say to your know nothing fan base south of the border is like, this guy made the playoffs 9 times already. He's a winner. He's winning, and they'll trot out his cups in all the ways that he won it. It'll be talked about that way. All right.
This Leafs, no, they're like, you can't hide from like this Leafs heartbreak has crossed over. Like it is not, like God love Barstool and like they've brought the Leafs heartbreak into the mainstream. Like, it is a popular thing to make fun of the Leafs. So I don't think anybody in Anaheim's like, oh, the Leafs, like, oh, they were pretty good. We want to hire him. Like, it's a mainstream. The Leafs heartbreak is mainstream, boys. It is top of mind.
Bourne, when you and I started doing like shows together and first started chatting, and the Leafs were starting to pick up, and you were getting going with your like radio and podcast and broadcast career, I remember had a conversation with you once about how the thing that made me happiest about the Leafs was that people stopped doing the, hey, we want you guys to be good again thing. Hey, we want, we hate you again. And there was this real feeling of people hating the Leafs. And I said, yes, I told you, this is a great sign for where they are because now they're respected. Tonight, do you know how many of my friends that are some of the biggest Leafs fan haters? I'm talking like dyed in the wool Habs fans.
Oh yeah.
Multiple of them sending me messages being like, wow, I kind of get what you're dealing with a little bit more now.
Like,
I'm
sorry.
I feel bad for you. And I went, oh my God, we're back here.
I have a nephew who's a diehard Bruins fan who texted me tonight. And I was like, ugh.
It's like those movies where someone's lost in the wilderness and they're hiking forever, and then they show up at the exact same place, except for now they're like emaciated and tired and they've run out of water. It's like, that's me. I'm like, oh my God, we're right back. This is the same hill that we first started walking away from. That's where we've returned to tonight.
I got a DM
that kind of torture.
I got a DM tonight from a guy who's he's like, I'm a diehard Bruins fan, buddy, but even I can't believe you got to go through this.
The
I'm
Bruins
like,
got
shut
a
up,
first-round
dude.
pick
Shut up.
I know.
The Bruins got a first-round pick tonight from a torturous game against the Leafs. Like,
that's where Marchand scores the ENG.
Yeah.
Could you not have just held on to him, Sweens?
Yeah.
I just had to let him go. Should have just let him be a Bruin for the rest of his career.
How about the one hockey thing I'll just say is Florida wins the cup, then trades for Seth Jones, who suddenly plays 29 minutes a game, and he's like unbelievable.
So we got to get to Marner here, obviously, but like quickly on the Seth Jones thing, you look at Bill Zito's trade deadline, gets Brad Marchand, gets Seth Jones, and then you look what those two guys have contributed over this run, and then it's like, how many points does Marchand have? And
8.
like
they the series.
Yeah, and they traded way less than the Leafs did for Scott Lawton. It's like ouchie ouchie wah wah.
And what's funny is like Lawton's like my 4th favorite Leaf from this series.
I'm not even
shift
killing Lawton, but I mean, he had one goal in this series in the playoffs, and it was into his own net. So probably want more than that for a first-round pick, if I'm being honest. I don't want to kill the guy because I thought he cared and he was hot, but like comparing the deadlines, it's a real stark reminder.
Yeah, Bourne, I'm with you. I certainly don't want to crush Scott Lawton because I thought that he played with a ton of energy, and there were some really notable just back checks and effort plays. And even tonight, when I thought the Leafs had nothing going, it was the fourth line that was at least generating something, and it was on his back, his effort. So again, not trying to kill the guy who I think gave in a strong effort, but it crossed my mind multiple times going, isn't this exactly David Kampf? Like no goals, good defensive play, good back check-in. It just like in terms of the
David Kampf with a little snarl, but you wanted to go get Ryan Riley 2.0 or whatever.
Yeah, if you're using a first-round pick and you want to upgrade at a position, going from Kampf to Lawton, I don't think was first-round pick worthy, even in a weak draft class or first-round pick. That's more so my point there. But the Panthers did well. Like again, part of the story can be that Florida is a very good hockey team, that they're probably the best team in the NHL, right? But when you perform this way, where you have games 5 and 7, it's just 4, really 3 games where you just get embarrassed. It's hard to be like, well, that's just a better team. I thought style points would matter for them if they made it to 7. And now we're here in the way that they got to 7. I'm like, nah, sorry.
Well,
it doesn't.
You said the style points would matter. It mattered.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, actually, sorry. Yeah, I was right.
Yeah.
I just didn't think that getting to a game
mattered.
7 would result in this kind of embarrassment.
Yeah.
So I think that the most memorable play of the game will be Mitch Marner screaming at his bench.
Yeah.
I think that's the lasting image. And he's upset because he took a puck in the face. So he yells at his teammates in a game where he didn't make with a dry head of hair, as someone DM me.
Yeah, his hair's looking pretty dry there.
Shockingly dry.
It's over. It's over.
Mhm.
There's nothing else you can say. It's over. It's a hometown guy that, bled the organization for every dollar, consistently said the wrong thing, never really showed up when they needed him the most. They tried to trade him this year to another contender for a really good player.
Squeezed him
Said
for every
no.
nickel along the way.
Said no. And the lasting image is of him screaming at his bench to wake up right before he coughs it up in the slot for a goal. So the Mitch Marner hate parade it'll be a full one tomorrow.
Mhm.
It's just, I would like to say that the way this played out with this guy over the last 8 years, 9 years is really crappy. And it really sucks that we're here. Sucks. It sucks. Like, there's a lot of different ways this could have gone, and this has probably gone the worst way. So like, I'm part of me is very happy it's over and that it's just, there's going to be real change and you can move along. But God, this really, really, really sucks that it's ended.
I was
like
watching the game halfway through, and in my head, I was like, Matthews, Nylander, Nyes, like 20 some million in cap space. Like, you're okay. You're okay here. Like, immediately in that game was just starting to do the processing of how it looks after this. And I know we're not trying to get there on this show, but it's like that official to me.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So to me, again,
why would he want to come back?
Yes, this is it. I don't think that this is all on him by any stretch of the imagination.
Of course
right?
not.
Like, this is a multi-layered issue with this team that is still going to take a lot of work. But you're right, Borny. Like, the grand scheme of things, I think that we will come out of this and be around on July 1st and doing fake rosters and saying, this really isn't this bad. If you can talk yourself into a healthier Matthews and somebody else to play with him and a different culture moving forward that you hope that you can at least start to build differently, the potential at least to squeeze Tavares on a contract, because even he, I think at his age, would have to be thinking, man, I'd really like to get one, and maybe I can learn from the Marner thing here and not take close to my market value. Either way, we often criticize Marner's play as being too lateral.
Yeah.
Right. And I just think that is his play, like, that describes him every year is lateral.
Starts going sideways and
it never went forward.
No.
It was just the same thing over and over again. Points get you to near 100. The conversation of should he and Matthews play together? The conversation of does he take too much credit or does he take too much heat for how good of a player is? Hey, we don't do his defensive game enough. Oh, actually, hey, he's going to have, close to 30 goals this year. And this year was the biggest point you could be optimistic about him because he had the Four Nations. He had the summer where he went and he played with some of the league's best players. Yep. There seemed to be more of an acknowledgement around the league that he is truly one of the great ones. He has had multiple teammates come to his defense as to what a great guy he is, which I'm sure he is. And then he was in his age, 27, 28 season coming into this year with the real hopes of you're an unrestricted free agent. You've decided not to waive your no move. You're clearly in that, to me, that read as you're ready for the pressure. And all it was lateral. He ended up in the exact same place as he always has, which was another postseason where he had a couple of games without shots. And his response is, well, that's just what my game is. And he never elevated. And if you're talking about using $13 million of cap space, which I think is the floor for what he's going to be asking for here, because that's apparently what's already been offered, you just can't look me in the eyes, even as the greatest defender of him, and say, you think that that's $13 million well spent going into the postseason anymore.
No.
Yeah. Well, and even if you think Marner's a $13 million player, like if I'm the Anaheim Ducks or Chicago or whoever, I'm falling all over myself to give him the money.
Sure.
Come be that for us, and maybe we'll
Mhm.
figure it out in playoffs if
Yeah.
we ever get there. But if you're the Leafs, like, and you're trying to bake a cake and you've got these 4 ingredients and you keep mixing them up in different bowls and with different whisks and different, it's like, okay, the ingredients don't make the right
Yeah.
cake.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we need
doesn't
to
Keep
change
putting
the
different
ingredient
candles
here.
on the cake, and they're like, "Hey, huh?"
It still
like,
sticks
no.
to the pan for some reason. Like it won't quite turn over and come out correctly. It's not a good cake. It's a bad
we're-
cake.
You know, and eventually it's like, all right, we need a new recipe here. So for the Leafs, whether he's an X player or not, by dollar amount, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you get him for. You're not winning with that combination. So
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you said it perfectly. A team that's trying to be good and trying to elevate can sign him, and he will probably help them do that. And there'll be times throughout the regular season where you'll be like, crap, well, the Leafs are struggling and you're just not getting and like you'll feel like, and I've had this take with Bunk, we've texted about this a million times, where you feel like you'll regret it. You'll feel like you'll regret it. No, you will in the regular season, you'll feel like it. And then you'll get to the playoffs, and the new guy that you brought in here potentially maybe is better, and you won't think about it again. It's just, I can't, there's nowhere else I can twist my mind in to bringing him back being a good idea. I can't, like, I try to look through any rose colored glasses, any blue and white colored glasses, just can't get there. I just absolutely can't get there. It's not the right fit. It's never, like, the chemistry is not there. It's just, it's over.
he's mad
It's
at the
gotta be over.
media. Like
Bad
it's
with the
all,
media.
it's
Bad with the media, man. Never
So,
figured it out. Said the
Sammy,
wrong thing exclusively.
Yeah. You've always said like this regret take, and I've always disagreed with you. And you're like,
Yeah.
you will. I promise you I won't. And here's the thing is,
Okay.
I think Mitch Marner is a really good hockey player. I was actually, the destination that no one's talked about that I was thinking about yesterday was, what if Colorado, with that Rantanen space, and like, are they out of this because they get Brock Nelson off the books? They got a bunch of guys that are going to come off. It's like, what if he actually did decide to take less, which would be an even bigger kick in the Leafs face? Well, I'm just saying that if he'd have to come in under Nathan McKinnon, right? He'd have to buy into that structure. Like, if he goes to Colorado, do I think that Mitch Marner could win a cup with Nathan McKinnon as the number 3 dog on the team?
Kessel did with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So do I think Mitch Marner could win someday? Yes. I'm not a believer of like, you'll never win with that guy. That's not my thought. Canada won the gold with Marner. He's going to be back on the Olympic team next year. And, you know, it'll be very strange to be rooting for him in that scenario. But I hadn't thought about that until this very second, which is why I'm recalibrating for a second here. But I just do not, I don't think that there is any simulation where it works here. I think that he and his camp have been bitter from the start that Matthews got the shine and that they were viewed as different players. I don't think he was ever able to park it. I think that every criticism has gotten through. He's the only guy that got talked to, like on 32 Thoughts when they did that one off-season pod, and Elliot asked him about his new approach with the phone, right? Like, hey, this guy's got to stay off social media. I don't think he's built to play here, period. Like, not when it's hard. I think it's fine during the regular season when he can separate himself and he can go hang out with his family and play video games and go play, you know, be with his friends, whatever, be the fun guy that's loose at the arena. But when things get tough, he does not get tougher. He's not helped the situation. And I'm sorry. I don't think it could ever work here. So I don't care what he goes on to do. I will always believe, you will never convince me otherwise, that he was going to be a winner here if they had just, you know, tripled down on him. And last thing I will say on this,
that's fair.
Last thing I'll say on Marner is I tweeted that tweet a couple of days ago about how it's an all-time sports bar conversation in Toronto that Marner for Rantanen, right? What if?
Yeah.
But also to that end, this is where I will give Mitch Marner credit. Mitch Marner seemingly is the only one that knew it wasn't working here, because this front office kept trying to drill him down on a contract all season long, right? Kipper reiterated over and over again, yeah, these guys want to sign him. And then what was revealed at the deadline is that they did offer him a contract extension, and then they were fed up, and that's why they asked him to waive it. So, hey, Mitch, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for not accepting that 8-year, $13 million a season contract that this organization was trying to offer you, and somehow being the only adult in the room that knew this wasn't working.
Then why didn't he go? to
Yeah, I
Carolina?
mean, that's an assumption of why he didn't sign it. The other one might be, just want to go somewhere else,
Yeah,
but
I-
whatever it is.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Carolina's nice. You should have gone there.
I know.
It's warm there. That the weather's great. There's no pressure. You're a perfect Carolina Hurricane, little guy that flies around like you would look like you just look like all the other guys in that team.
Oh, him and
Why didn't
Stankoven?
why didn't you just say yes, man?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, no.
Why?
For what?
To go so rant and be on the Leafs.
To become even more hated?
What do you mean? If you got
No, I mean, like, why didn't you do it? Like, now that he stayed,
yeah.
like the upside was, okay, you win a cup
Yeah.
and you're a huge piece of a Toronto Maple Leafs cup. I'll get it
Yeah.
one time.
Mhm.
But if you had one foot out the door and you were really thinking about leaving and they ask you to waive, why not?
I guess, man, how cool to get to his next couple weeks or whatever it is till July 1st, where he just gets to be the belle of the ball and have every team tell him how great he is and what they're going to do for
That's
him.
his dream.
Oh,
That's his dream. That's the whole
his
camp's
camp
dream.
is going to love that.
But they
Yeah.
still would have gotten that in Carolina. Although I think they would have had to give up more than Marner to get that done. But
Wow.
yeah.
So okay, there's a quote here. He's gone. Read that quote. Are you reading it?
You want me to read it?
I mean, yeah.
sure,
Go ahead.
yeah,
You're
Bourne,
better
you
reading
read it.
than me.
You're the pro.
Yeah.
You'll put
Yeah.
the least spin on the ball.
All right.
Yeah.
It's meant
butcher it.
it's meant everything. Maybe a risky pick on a small kid from Toronto, and I've been forever grateful to wear this maple leaf and to be a part of this with some of the great legends here and to wear this jersey. I've never taken a day of this for granted and have always loved it.
Wow.
I put some spin on the ball.
Great reading. That was well done.
Yeah,
you read a
put the
bedtime
exact
story.
same spin that I would have on that
You
ball
read
on
a
that
bedtime
second
story
always.
in the last 2 days for sure. You've been reading some.
Yeah, I was like that felt like me doing it, like me like trying out to get on a book series at the end. And I will always
Loved it.
love it.
Wow.
Have you always loved it? You've hated it.
Hated it.
Yeah, I know.
Hated it. All you've ever done is talk about how you hate that Matthews is more loved than you and that you never appreciated enough. You've exclusively hated it for 6 years. Ever since you've gotten that contract, you've hated it.
Hey, so here's my other follow-up question from this.
Okay.
Okay, let's keep moving.
Okay,
So I won't keep this too long tonight because
No.
we've all got other content to do. But
Yeah.
if you're Matthews, who has been notoriously secret about his injuries since he hurt his wrist in year 2?
No, the thing that I thought the turning point was when when Steve Stimmons reviewed he had COVID and then he got all mad about that and never said anything again.
No, but I have also I have actually heard that the wrist injury thing, when he got that hurt, he felt as though people targeted it.
Yeah.
And then from that point forward, it really did change who he was as a player. And I've gotten that from multiple people. So that's not just one where it's
Okay.
like, hey, this
I've
is a
heard that
little inkling that, yeah, Bourne, you've exactly. So the wrist thing became something where he became a little bit more hyper paranoid about injuries and revealing them and letting it get out. And I think that, as you know, all people who work in media and who have worked very hard through every little channel we have to try to get more information on this, this was a full season of nothing got revealed. Do you think now, with him wearing the captaincy and the disappointment that was this postseason, which again, he scored 3 goals, big goal in game 6, but again, absent tonight. Do you think that for him moving forward as the captain of this team to kind of be able to, you don't want to make it seem like an excuse because he played through it, but don't you sort of have to reveal what the injuries are here to at least give some people some measure of faith that you can be different in the postseason?
Totally.
Don't you want to put the
Yes.
injuries out there this time? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Totally.
Last year too, but Matthews said tonight he doesn't think it's time to address if he was healthy in these playoffs. There better be a time.
Yeah,
I
there
think
has to be a
people are
time.
owed something there.
It's about, like you said, it's about having any faith.
Mhm.
Going in, it's about the difference between that of him being like, yeah, my wrist is totally bunged up and my back's all screwed up. Him saying that is the difference between everybody in Leafs Nation talking about trading Matthews this offseason.
It
Like,
is.
it's-
And what's
that's
the
the
harm,
difference.
Sam? They don't play for 4 months or
that's it.
something.
That's it.
But it's just, I don't know.
I get being secret in season. I don't understand why, if Bourne, you just said it, you nailed it. There's really nothing else to say on it, where it's you're not playing for 4 months. and nobody, everybody gave you all the space in the world, but you have to have the time where you address this. Like, if for him to say now is not the time, fine, you lost, disappointing, you don't want to take the distraction. You got to do it in the coming couple of days. It has to come. We can't have another off season where he looks at the media and he just tells them basically to bugger off and I'm not going to be answering questions on the injury. Like, you got to tell people how bad it was, what's up, and if it's a real problem.
As you know, in years past, when the Leafs failed, there was always a conversation about trading Marner. That was the first name. Nylander was in there for a while, but I don't think anybody, although Nylander was pretty brutal tonight outside that one dash that he had. Like, I guess everybody was brutal tonight, but whatever.
Tanev was the only guy that I liked, and Lawton had some moments. It was very hard.
Everybody had the conversations about trading Marner, trading Nylander. The Riley ones are sprinkled in there. But anytime anyone ever brought up the Matthews thing, it was hushed tones. Like, what are you talking about? I've gotten that text from and DM in the last 48 hours or the last week more than
I have 2 fake Matthews
before.
trades ready for my shows,
buddy. Like, people, I think though about the injury thing. Yeah. If he comes out and he's like, I'm playing with a broken wrist and my back is like, I got to get surgery on my back, then like that alleviates people talking about that this offseason. Like, it changes the way that you look at this run. That it's like, oh, it was gutty that he was able to be out there with those 2 injuries. Or what? Lie, bro. Lie. Just lie. You're like, yeah,
just LeBron just limp out of every game you've ever lost.
I broke my back. Like, just lie, dude. Like, it's crazy. I am like, it would help, would it not?
Sometimes
it would help.
Sometimes I think that these guys, like, again, they've been so sheltered from media and fans. It's so different than it used to be, right? And some of it good, some of it bad, but and this isn't just like a Toronto Maple Leafs thing. This is a lot of organizations that have done this with their athletes. But to me, one of the problems is actually that there's a disconnect between the athletes and the fans with this team that is a greater divide than there's ever been. And I don't think that this team knows their fan base very well with just the way that they operate on a day-to-day basis, which is like they are the kings of everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. Yep. It's okay. They're the dog meme, right? Everything's around them's burning, but they're just sitting there with a cup of coffee trying to sit there through it. And that seems to be their modus operandi, which is don't allow anything from the outside in, because if you let anything from the outside in, it can rattle the players and it can cause some problems. And I actually think that they need some people who are on the outside to tell them like what it's like out here. Like, for sure. Hey, for sure, this is what some people need. This is what people are talking about. This is your perception, not your PR coach that tells you to go out there and deliver the same 3 crappy lines every offseason. They need somebody to go and be like, hey, fans need to know what's up with Matthews.
Bunk,
he's the captain.
Sorry, I started to interrupt you.
I go too long. I go too long.
No, when I was with the Marlies, we had Nylander and Kapanen and all these guys that were going to be good players for the Leafs. They weren't allowed to play when we played 3-3, so they only played 2 of the 3 games, and they weren't allowed to do media. Like, they're 19 years old, and they weren't allowed to talk to the media at all. Which is, what are we doing? Like, how are you developing the full game? And obviously, sheltering them from all this has not helped them avoid the pressure because it seeps through. And then they're like, I secretly know it's bad. Like, just let them learn some resilience to it. Build some calluses.
Yeah. No, it's like 1984 stuff. It's just propaganda. So it's like they propagandize these guys, these players, into being like, everybody loves you. You guys are the most. That's what Marner goes, we're treated like gods here. And everyone on the outside's like, we don't treat you that way. Boo.
Like, why aren't you hearing my boos?
But also, this is the actual biggest issue I have with it. And I'm going to expand on this tomorrow. But in doing this, by trying to separate the outside noise from like the fans, they make the fans more of like this adversarial group of people to the players. And all of a sudden you get it to this point where fans hate some of the guys on their own team and they don't feel respected and they don't feel well treated. And it culminates in these moments where you pay a couple $1,000s to go down to the arena and watch these guys not give a crap. And I don't think that those players can relate to those people in the stands the same way. Not the core guys. There are certainly them. I think that Steven Lorentz, he gets it. he's in the mud with the mud boys, like he's fully understanding what it is like in the outside world. But to those guys who have been put in these bubble, they view the fans as like, how dare they? We've been getting all these regular season points. We're just trying to win a Stanley Cup. How dare they question whether we care? We'll show up when we want to show up. And it's like these two things are at odds in a way that I do not think that they should be. And it creates this false illusion that like Leaf fans are somehow more toxic than any other fan base who ever gets frustrated when their team constantly disappoints. Like I hate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Christian's putting some Marchand stuff in the chat here to your point.
I know. I want him to stop.
Marchand is cooking right now. Are you reading that, Bunk?
No, I've
so here, Brad Marchand says they've been working and building something really big here for a while, and they were a different brand of hockey this year. They're getting crucified, and I don't think it's justified. Brad Marchand says this wasn't actually a big game when you've played for a Stanley Cup, and think Leaf fans have beat the pressure into their team. How do you not feel that every day? He asked rhetorically, referring to the Leafs players.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is exactly what I'm talking about. A guy like that knows it, where it's like, hey, run it back. It's not your fault. It's the fans' fault. Maybe if only the fans would go away. Maybe if only
he does.
It's the fans.
Yeah, if the fans could just fall in line and just cheer every game for you, never boo and never even talk about you, things would be fine here.
Listen, bud, like the perfect way to put this is, not to go full producer here, but like coaches and players used to do radio interviews all the time. They used to like see that as a way to connect to fans, that they would talk to media, they would talk to people, and they'd be like, hey, like, go on there and say some things.
They just do state-sponsored stuff.
They don't like, how do we have a player on the show this year, Bourne? Do we have the coach maybe once all year?
I don't think we had a player on the show this year.
It's just like,
not for lack of asking.
We collectively host 3 of the 5 biggest shows that do numbers wise on the Toronto Maple Leafs in the country. And neither of those 3 shows have had a Leaf this season.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I think Treliving maybe, I don't know if he's done.
We had Tree at one point.
Maybe once, but it's just like
at their chosen
OEL,
times when
maybe
there's some
we did
good news to talk about.
Christian says maybe we did have OEL one time. No, when he had 1,000 games, we had OEL one time. Yeah.
Did we?
But like, Tom Brady used to do a radio hit every week, didn't he? Like Jerry Jones goes on the radio and like, like there's no connect. They don't try to do it. So
no, they want you to like things called like Inside the Blue and White. And then an in-arena host sits down with them and is like, what's your favorite kind of puzzle?
Jigsaw.
Yeah. Like, is this what people want to know? It is. It really is. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Do you like horror movies or comedy movies? Or is this anyway, whatever.
Step Brothers, you say?
Yeah. Oh, you like Step Brothers. Wow. Do an impression. Yeah. That's how it is. Nonstop. It's like, that's what you get. There's no relation. In trying to shelter these guys from the fans, they have made it absolutely worse. And here's my prediction. They won't learn a damn thing from it moving forward.
No.
It will only get worse. All right. Have we not hit? Has there anything that we've not hit here?
Marchand just said I grew up a Leafs fan.
This guy's on fire. Enough of Marchand.
Kick him off the podium.
Oh my God. This guy is the Leafs daddy. Yeah. He is their papa.
Honestly,
he is 5-0 against them in Game 7. Papa Marchand. Yeah. He is their daddy. Daddy.
Straight up though, here's a serious question. Don't you offer him more than his market value to come here just to be like,
no question. Yeah. Yes. Overpay.
That might even be worse. I don't know.
Just overpay Marchand and Bennett. Just do it. See if it works. Probably not. Maybe it will. Try it. Overpay them. I don't know. I'm out of ideas.
There were moments this year where I thought Marchand was done, and then he was amazing in the postseason.
Yeah. Maybe you should.
I think he should. Again, I reserve the right to change my mind on all these.
You know who I want? I want the guy who's worse in the playoffs than regular season, more so than Marner. Bring me Nick Ehlers.
Oh yeah, that'll work. That'll do it. That'll do the trick.
I got to tell you, Bring Marner back instead.
Yeah.
Bring me Nick Ehlers. I want Nick Ehlers.
Nick Ehlers. No, my God, no. Yeah,
All
just
right.
That'll make you regret losing Marner.
Yeah, that probably would.
He
No.
goes from 0.9 points per game to 0.37 in the playoffs.
Oh
I
my
love him.
God, he'll fit right in.
Yeah. Yeah, especially once he gets the secrets, the whispers start to get to him, being like, the people that apparently the people on the outside are not saying all the things that the bosses tell us.
The secrets. Ooh, the secrets.
My friend's girlfriend said that not everybody loves us.
What?
That's exactly what it's like on the inside.
Yeah. Shut up about that.
Hush now.
Hush, someone's coming. Yeah, no, that's really what it is. Okay. I don't think I have anything else. Like I said, my thing on Riley, but
Let's go to
you
bed.
guys didn't seem to be on board with that. I'm asking him to waive.
Yeah, I don't. I
Yeah,
think
sure.
it's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you gonna get?
Bourne
Are
just
you
wants to
gonna-
go. Bourne's tired.
No, are you gonna
Okay.
get anything for him? Like, what's like $7.5 million for what, 6
I don't
more
know.
years? He's
I don't know.
30. He had his worst year of his career.
I think
like a
your
salary
ideal
dump.
thing would be a challenge trade.
What do you mean?
A challenge trade is where both it's like slightly distressed asset for
Oh, yeah,
slightly
yeah.
distressed asset.
Yeah, fair.
So
Yeah.
the thing that sucks is that it's like Seth Jones would have been the perfect guy to do that for, and he ended up being
Yeah.
a Florida Panther, and it's like,
Scores
damn
the
it,
first goal of the game tonight. Snap.
yeah. It's
On a
like
great
Well, he
read
also
by
had
Morgan
another
Valley.
goal that didn't count, and he also rocked someone. And
that
good
goal was,
read.
by the way, a 11 out of 10 goal, and I was a little confused because everyone on the panel and everyone was like, that's a really smart non-challenge by the Panthers because the situation, I was like, except for, is it all that smart of a challenge when everyone on earth is like, that's a goal?
Goal.
yeah,
Goal.
goal.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I disagree with the idea that it was such a brilliant tactical decision by them to not add a goal.
In. Oh well.
Yeah.
Wow, they really would have been scared of the Leafs power play to, chop it around and try to enter the zone for a minute and a half. It would have been really tough. It would have been really
That's
tough.
true.
Let's try another backhand chip pass to the sideboards, boys. That's been working great. How about a hard rim? Anyways,
All
I'm
right.
done.
My last thing is just this is like, I thought the fans in the arena were awesome. And the fact Leafs go down 1-0
They
and
still tried.
your heart probably tells you you're not winning, and they went after it and they kept chanting and they were still loud. They went down 2-0. There were still go Leafs go chants.
Huge
Like-
pop on the Domi goal. Building went nuts.
Yep.
Everybody was fired up, going crazy in
Exactly.
the crowds, and then immediately gagged it right back. But they were trying, and then
And-
they booed hard.
Well, and what I would say too is like with all the stuff about the jokes we've been making about the fans on the outside and how they're evil, the ones that talk bad about you. People want to love this team so badly, man. Like
Mhm.
this is such an identity piece for so many people in the city. Again, like
This
you know,
country, this
this
the
is the
world,
last
dude.
episode of this show. Sammy and I might do some emergency pods here or there throughout the summer, July 1st, maybe something like that. We'll kick some things on the feed. But like, yeah, we love how many people like the takes that so many of these fans have are the same takes that we have. Like
Okay.
so many people will send me messages over this last week and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's
Yeah.
like
You
that.
nailed it.
Yeah,
You're right.
like, you're bang on. There's some baddies in there, right? Like I get a lot of bad DMs as well, but I get a lot of good
That's
ones.
the
And it's
mud.
like the overwhelming feel with this team is not like they hate you right now because you've crushed them for 9 straight seasons.
Yeah.
You make one little change and everyone's gonna be back in that barn.
You win this game tonight. The
Oh.
love that you are showered upon
Yeah.
is out of this world. Out of this world.
I will
Truly.
say when the Marner walkaway happens, they need to add someone so they need to sell people on something else.
Yeah, for sure. Well, here's the thing. They're always going to spend to the cap.
Yeah.
And the idea moving forward, if you're supposed to be optimistic, is that the cap is going to go up to places that might make some teams uncomfortable and it will never make the Leafs uncomfortable.
Right.
So even if you sign a Bennett or a Marchand to something that's above market value to come to Toronto versus what they would have gotten paid in Florida with no state tax, you got to be thinking that now Toronto should be able to exercise a mechanism that not everyone might be
Yeah.
able to. And
Right.
also it's like, yeah, the bar is actually shockingly low for that, in my opinion. Like Marner's going to walk and it's a superstar talent. People will people will be upset that you mismanaged an asset this way when the writing was on the wall for so long. Like I heard Kipper with you guys doing like they kept trying to paper it over, guys. They kept trying to paper over the problem thing. So that will get a lot of criticism, but ultimately it's like, he's just got to go. And whatever you fill in with, it's like, people are going to be sold on that.
Yeah.
I think anyways, that's my perception.
Marchand, like there's never been more of a lock of like, I don't know, 2 million for 3 years in Florida. Like there's just never been more of a lock of all time.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and I think Bennett's there too.
Yeah. He'll sign for like, way under a cap value because they get to pay guys less because
and then Bourne's going to write this article on Nikolai Ehlers and how he actually shouldn't be so dismissive.
Neutral
of him.
zone touches are through the roof.
yeah. Bourne's breakdowns. Here's a couple of Ehlers plays from the regular season that we really like.
For the record, he's having a good playoff or had a good playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I love you, boys.
Right.
I love you. I'm so sad we don't get to do this anymore.
I know.
Thanks for having me on, fellas. I appreciate it.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's the best. We love that you do it, and we love all the people that listen, that watch, all the subscribers, all the people that reach out to us on the DMs and on the tweets. Like, again, means the world to us. We absolutely love doing this show. It's a dream minus the always losing part.
The product
minus it being a nightmare. Yes.
Yeah. Minus the fact that it's like we somehow found a way to entrench ourselves further into one of the most disappointing franchises in all of sports. Like we were like, hey, Sammy and I were like, we already really love this team and it affects our mood in our data. What if it affects our finances as well? And both of us were
and
like,
our careers. Yeah, love that. Love that. Love that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We'll see you throughout the offseason. We'll see you on my show tomorrow, the JD Bunkis podcast, and you guys, Real Kipper and Bourne.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. For everybody. We'll see you later.